Hey, you know how they tell you that people are leaving California and they're going to Texas because taxes are crazy in California? Well, it turns out, there it is. There's the headlines. The cost of living, as well as high taxes and red tape, are precipitating the push. Many people are moving from California to Texas. That's from The Economist. Who? Joe Rogan. That says, Newsweek said he could save $13 million by moving to Texas and tax breaks. And they said that July 27, 2028. Elon Musk California exit can save him $2 billion in taxes. Wow, so you really save a lot of money if you move to Texas, huh? Well, if you're a billionaire or a millionaire, maybe, but not if you're a regular person. No, you pay more taxes in Texas if you're a regular person. Why? Because they don't have income tax. So with an income tax, you do a graduated income tax. So the more money you make, the more taxes you pay. And so the people with the most money are funding the infrastructure of your state. That's how it should work. That's not how it's working in Texas. Despite lack of state income tax, most Texans pay more in taxes than Californians do. A recent post on Reddit's main economic forum included a 2018 graphic that shows Texans pay more taxes than the Californians do unless they are in the top 1%. So if you're in the top 1% of earners, you pay less taxes in Texas. But everybody else, well, here's this thing. Here's what they're talking about. So in California, the top 1% pay 12% of our taxes. In Texas, the top 1% pays 3% of their taxes. Well, where does the rest of it come from? Comes from these people, the bottom 20%. The bottom 20% in Texas, they pay 13% of the taxes. In California, the bottom 20% only pay 10% of the taxes. Then there's the middle 60%. They pay 9.7% in Texas. They pay less. So everybody pays less taxes in California, except if you're a millionaire or a billionaire. The weird thing about this is they don't tell you who pays most of the taxes, right? Because if you add these numbers up, so let's do it. 10, 9, and 12. 10 and 12 is 22, and 9 is 31. So that's 31%. Who's making up the extra 68, 69%? Who's paying it? I don't know. I'd like to see that stat. Anyway, the graphic is of data from the 6th edition of the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy's Who Pays series, which tracks tax data for all 50 states. Texans in the bottom. Okay, I just showed you that. In California, I just showed you that too. Oh, but did you know that the bottom 20% are people earning less than $23,000? And yeah.
I can't live on.
Yeah. The top 20%, those earning $700,000 or more, they pay 12%. So I guess that would be the 1%. Texas was the second most regressive tax state behind only Washington. Low-income taxpayers bear a disproportionate share of the tax burden in those states, according to the nonprofit. California, meanwhile, is the most progressive tax state because people in higher tax brackets actually pay higher tax rates. Every state has some regressive tax on the books, whether that be sales tax, motor fuel tax, tobacco tax, even property tax is somewhat regressive. However, unlike other states, Texas has no progressive counterbalance, because there is no state income tax. So I had to explain this to a friend of mine once, so I will. The reason why you want a wealth tax is because you don't want to tax someone on their necessities of life. So you have to have a home, you have to have health care, you have to have a car, right? Okay? But if you have a second home or a third home or a fourth home, you tax that at a higher rate than you tax the first house. So you see, that's why you have a graduated income tax, because you don't want to tax someone's necessities, right? So what I'm saying is like a blue collar worker making $50,000 a year shouldn't pay a higher percentage of his taxes than someone making $1 million or $1 billion. They shouldn't have to pay a higher percentage. That's what we're talking about. Robert Peroni, a beer drinker and a tax professor at the University of Texas. He noted that Who Pays series appears to base its results on real-world data and policy. Nothing substantial has changed in the statewide tax since 2018, he said. For its data, the nonprofit relied on the IRS. Okay, who cares? Despite Texas' reputation as a low-tax, low-government state, most of its residents are high-taxed. States with income taxes do more to lower inequality, according to Peroni. So if you go to a state that doesn't have income tax, who's going to pay the taxes to run that state? That means so instead of rich people paying income taxes, you have poor people paying sales taxes. That's how they're funding everything, by taxing everybody. We don't have that yet. We've never had it, as far as I know, Peroni said, of the state income tax. That makes it very hard to solve this inequality problem. When they say Texas is a very regressive state, it means if you're low income, you spend 100% of your income. You spend it. Some of it is tax exempt, but most of that spending is taxed by sales tax. Peroni said there doesn't seem to be a politician or a political party in the state willing to propose a state income tax. State income tax seems to be the third rail politically in Texas, and it is rarely proposed even by the most liberal politicians. It makes it very hard to change the structure. So there you are. You pay more in tax if you're a regular person in Texas than you do in California. Isn't that something?
Oh, my God.
What do you think of that stuff?
Well, it's like California's expensive. To live in California is expensive. But, what I know a couple years ago when all those fires broke out in Texas, I read story after story that the firefighters in Texas, they were not equipped with the proper garments or whatever, protection gear, that they had to go out themselves and buy that stuff. So where you think our tax money, and here in the state of California, again, how about another jobs program for firefighters here in the States?
Hey, we're coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Detroit, Los Angeles, Spokane, Tacoma, Denver. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets for all our live shows. See you there.